So Fred Duncan shared this clip of Randy Huntington explaining why he doesn't use the Olympic lifts, and I'm not making this video to discuss the Olympic lifts today, and this isn't a response or reaction video to what Randy Huntington says in this clip. But the premise behind what he says in this clip is widely accepted in strength and conditioning, and I think it's misguided.
I'm one of the few elite coaches that doesn't use them. Because all I'm interested in is triple extension at high velocities. You know, when I look at Olympic lifts and I look at the velocities they're moving at, you know, you look at the world record holders, they're moving at 1.6, 1.7 meters per second. That's how fast the bars move. But in general, what I do, and I've been doing since 1983, put me on a Kaiser squat, give me frickin' 600 pounds, and let me get after it. Because I'll move it at 2.5, 2.8 meters per second. Now that's a heck of a lot faster and a whole lot more resistance and a lot more power than when I'm getting at 1.6, 1.7 meters per second.
Coaches will often say that they care about the velocity component of power and use that as the basis for why they prioritize lightly loaded jumps and dynamic effort lifts in the weight room. Just follow me here. The spectrum of velocity exists between 0 and whatever the highest velocity it is that you can achieve. What you can achieve is dependent on the task being performed. Something like 9 meters per second in a sprint is pretty decent, and I think like 3.5 meters per second in a jump is pretty decent too. So let's take that spectrum and let's just use 3.5 meters per second as the maximum velocity threshold in a jump. Dynamic effort lift, lightly loaded jumps, and even the Olympic lifts do not train the velocity component of the power equation here. Anytime that you add load, even if you only load 1 pound, the task that you're performing becomes more force dominant than velocity dominant. In order to truly train the velocity component, you have to push velocity to its limits, meaning you have to make velocity the limiting factor to achieving the desired outcome. Adding load to your body does the opposite of this, even if you're still attempting to move as fast as you can. This is my little experiment from the other day. You can't really see the numbers on the Tendo unit, but my highest peak velocity in a bodyweight jump was 3.49 meters per second. In order to train myself to move faster, I have to move faster. It doesn't make sense to add load, attempt to move faster, but move slower. When I held 35 pounds of added load, my velocity dropped down to, I think it was 3.19 meters per second. And when I used 40 kilograms of added load, it dropped again to 3.05 meters per second. So if you care about power output, and more specifically the velocity component of power output, and your maximal peak velocity in a jump is 3.5 meters per second, you need to attempt to move faster than 3.5 meters per second. And you can't do that with external load. And this example is just referring to jumping. Think about how far away you are from your sprinting maximum velocity when you do something like this. Don't think that moving fast in weight room exercises does anything to move the needle in the velocity component of power, especially if you're concerned about moving faster in something like a sprint. Nothing you do in the weight room is training the velocity component. It all comes from your sprinting and your plyos. This is what makes the argument between Olympic lifts and loaded jumps so poor. I'll concede that the Olympic lifts do nothing to move the needle in sprinting speed, but neither does loaded jumps or dynamic effort lifting or fast lifting. They're all totally irrelevant. But that's all I have for the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.